Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mark Baber from Sony here, and we're live in just under 4 minutes on the Birmingham Cameras Facebook Live page with Brian Whelan talking to myself around the Sony lens range. So join us in just under 4 minutes. Grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, whatever you're doing. Let us know where you're from as well. If you're local in Ireland or further afield, we'll bring you into the webinar as well, and we'll say hello to you. So let us know where you are, and we'll join us in just over 3 minutes now. Hello, good afternoon again. It's Mark Baber from Sony. We're just about to go live on the Birmingham Cameras Facebook Live page. So good crowd building up. Thank you very much for joining us. Please let us know where you're from, where you're watching today, and we'll bring you into the webinar and we'll say hello to you. And don't forget, ask lots of questions if you're interested in the Sony lens range, whether you're looking at moving over from, say, DSLR, or you're an existing Sony user. Great opportunity to find out more about our lens range. I'll be joining Brian in just over a minute's time.
Hello, welcome to Birmingham Cameras Facebook Live. This is the latest edition of one of our Facebook Live webinars. We're very happy for you to be joining us today. It is a glorious day out there, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for watching. We're very happy for you to join us. Today's episode is regarding Sony and Sony lenses. Now, for that, we are very lucky to have Mark Baber remoting into us once again, all the way from the UK. Mark, how are you today? I believe Brexit still has you able to tune into us. How are you keeping?
Yeah, really good, Brian. Thanks so much. It's not very nice here today, down in Berkshire. So I'm glad it's nice over in Ireland. But yeah, lovely to see you, and thank you for the opportunity to join you today to talk about lenses.
Yeah. Look, you're very welcome. It's great to be able to do these events. The last one was absolutely fantastic. We got so much great feedback. It's where today has grown from, because the some of the feedback we got was absolutely brilliant. But could you maybe cover some lenses? The next time you're talking to Mark. So myself and yourself, we had a chat and we said, well, can we do it? And we have Sony Week on this week over here in Ireland. So we said, when better to do it than in Sony Week, when there's offers going on, activities going on. And yeah, so here we are. And we've got, you might call it the A team, you could call it the dream team. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's going to be good anyway. So thank you very much.
No, absolute pleasure.
Yeah, just before we get into the nitty gritty of it, Mark, just want to just tell people, just remind them that where we are now with COVID restrictions in the store, where we are is there aren't really any at the moment. Obviously, we're working under the current COVID guidelines. So the shop is open. It's open for business. It's open 9 to 5:30 Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on a Saturday. You can come to the store. There's no requirement for an appointment. You can just come to us and come in. There is a limit on the amount of people that are able to be in the store at one time, so we may just require you to wait. But thankfully, we had a nice steady flow of people all the way through so far, so we haven't really had too much of that happening. But as I say, the store is open, and for that reason, I'm in our office here at the moment. I had to come off the shop floor because I said I wanted to give you my undivided attention, Mark. I said we couldn't close the store, but I also couldn't have any unexpected or unwanted guests coming on, like maybe trying to get their face on TV, their 5 minutes of fame. So I said we better get down the office. So if anybody hears a phone ringing or they're trying to get through to us, just bear with us, because the guys are up on the shop floor. They're probably selling lots of Sony at this moment in time, Mark, to be fair, but they're working hard. You can see them on the screen there now. I'm watching the screen there, making sure that the shop is going okay. So all good so far. How are you keeping, Mark, since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, good. Very busy. Lots going on. I'm still. I'll just show you now. I'm still in my shed, so I'm live here. So I've got a green screen. So hopefully I fooled you, thinking I've got this massive, what looks like a wine cabinet of lenses. But yeah, I'm here, still in my shed. My wife checks on me now and again to see if I'm okay. So I've been in here for the last 15 months, broadcasting across the UK and Ireland. But yeah, we're good. And again, really, really great to be with you today.
That's a fancy setup you have there now. Dean will be jealous of that setup there as regards to what you've got there. You have a nice green screen, Mark. You'll see behind me we have a black background rather than a green. That was a green screen, and I put it into the wash and it came out black. I don't think I did a good job on it. So we unfortunately have a black background rather than a green screen. Thankfully, not all of the stuff I put in comes out the wrong colour when I put in the wash.
Love it. Brian, we've got some people saying hi already. So I think Sybil says hi. I'm going to just try and bring her in here. So
good to see you.
If I get people's names wrong, apologies. So Tullamore, hi there. Let's other people.
Sabella's a friend of the store. I was actually chatting to her this morning before we came on, so I give her a shout. Hi, Martin. How are you?
Martin, Viking Photography Power. Hi, Brian. Hi, Martin, as well. Oh, and Glyn Dewis. Hi, Glyn. Glyn from Devon. Thank you,
Glenn.
For joining
I have
us.
to say, now you were chatting with Dean here in the store just regarding your video, but just absolutely fantastic. For anybody who's watching that hasn't seen it, on our social media channels, on our Facebook, on our YouTube, on our Instagram, there is a video that Glenn shot for us, some content regarding the Sony A1 on location. He did it with yourself, Mark. You both kindly put it together for us. It's absolutely fantastic. It is brilliant. I said it to you the last time, Mark. I say it again, in fairness, we're quite old school in here, and we're at the stage now where we're not always as easily pleased as some of the manufacturers would like us to be. But that video was absolutely fantastic. So, Glenn, thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant.
Natasha's there as well. She's must be right in front of you, so she's had time to say hi. And Dean as well. He's on his day off, so thanks for joining us.
They're all making a lot out of me, Mark. I'm telling you that they're all working hard and they're all bloody on Facebook saying hello to you.
Just leaving you to it. Should we have a look at what we're going to cover? Let's have a look at what we're going to do today.
Please,
So yeah, in a second, we're just going to quickly go over the full frame range and, well, the alpha range actually of cameras, just very, very quickly, which just kind of links to what we did previously. So just gives you an idea that if you're a landscape photographer, you need to be looking at these types of cameras and so on. And then we'll go straight into looking at what is the E-mount system. So for those of you who are not aware, the Sony E-mount system, that's the mount that the lenses go onto the bodies of the cameras to give you this E-mount system. So how is it and the benefits of it if you come into the system. We'll have a look a little bit of lens technology as well. So we'll go through a little bit of how that works in hand with the lens technology, and also some autofocus technology as well. And then we've got some demonstrators. So depending on how long we get this goes on for, we want to try and get it done within an hour. We've got some cracking demos that shows resolution, detail, sharpness, that kind of stuff from different lenses, and some surprisingly good results from maybe not just the high-end stuff, but entry and mid-level as well. And I think we've got the offers. We'll come to the offers at the end, but again, these offers are currently live, so we'll just reiterate then. And I think as well with questions, Brian, you wanted to say around questions from the audience. If they've got any.
Exactly. We were inundated with questions the last time we did it, Mark. We got some great questions from the viewers. So again, we'll be taking questions all the way through the broadcast. We will cover them at the end. So if anybody has any questions, they can pop them in the comments. And when we get to the end, we will go through them all, answer them as best possible. We may answer the question that you ask later on in the video, but if we do, we'll still ask it just in case there's anything more to add. So please don't hesitate to pop them into the comments there at any stage. If anything comes into your head, or if you see something in one of the videos or the content that we're going to show you that maybe brings a question, or you may already have one already, and please do pop it in there and we will ask it when we get to the end and have covered all the content we have planned.
Yep, please do. And if we can't get to the questions for whatever reason, then Brian, like we did before, we had a couple of questions sent directly to me via Birmingham Cameras as well, so we'll do that. Okay, so look, this is great. We're down here, so we are live, so you can see that we are talking about the lenses today. But this is what we covered in the last webinar, and this is just really a recap. So for those of you who are not familiar with Sony Alpha System, we have two different types of technology. That's full frame and APS-C, and the APS-C is a crop factor equation of 1.5 times to get the focal length for the equivalent of full frame. We'll come on to that in a second. But basically, you'll see that we've got. Sometimes I think it can be confusing what we discussed before when you're coming into the system where you're looking. So just very quickly, if you are a commercial photographer, wedding photographer, sports photographer, and you're looking for amazing autofocus and speed and something that literally sticks to your subject, then the A9 series is something you should look at in there. And again, we're not going into any detail. You can watch the previous webinar we had before. The A7R series, so the latest model is the A7R4. This is something for high resolution, 60 million pixels in the R4, amazing video quality. So you could use it as a hybrid camera, but landscape photographer, portrait, absolute incredible detail with the R series, and you can see there's a variety of models here. Low light capabilities and also video, so very, very video centric product. The A7S series, the 3 being the latest. Now this has got a flip out screen as well, something that we've added to our range. But the the video quality in this camera is incredible. 12 million pixels, so a lot of less pixel content, but incredible low light. And I think in the video we did, the webinar, we showed a video of low light, over 100,000, and it was pretty much noise, very clean. And then we've got like what we would call our all-rounder, but it's our entry level, which is the A7 III. And you're thinking, why has he missed out A1? Because I'll come back to that in a second. But the A7 III kind of is our entry level. A lot, does a lot more than just entry, but fantastic autofocus system, 24 million pixel, full frame sensor, dual card slots, battery life excellent, and we've then got an A7C, which is a retro style modern retro modern style version of the A7 III, which no compromise in quality. And you'll hear us mention compact a lot today, and just get that across that when we mention compact or smaller, there is no compromise in picture quality or performance. And in fact, the A7C just pips the A7 III in image capabilities and also video. we've got this funny looking box thing called an FX3. It's way beyond, it's not funny at all. It's a serious piece of kit, video centric. It bridges the gap between Alpha and Cinema line. And then you've got the APS-C cameras. So some of the range I've brought here, 6600, fantastic stills and video camera, same battery as the Alpha range. And then the 6400, which is, I've used that for streaming quite a lot, an excellent camera, APS-C or a Super 35 sensor, and a great entry level A6100 to start yourself off. And we go back to the A1, which effectively sits at the top of the pyramid of our range, and this does effectively everything we've just combined together in one body. And if you haven't seen Glyn Dewis's video that we launched with Birmingham on Monday, then please do, because it shows some amazing features. So that's just a snapshot of our range. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Brian.
No, not really. Just as you mentioned, Mark, we did cover pretty much all of that range in the previous webinar that we did, and that was about an hour long. And if anybody missed it, it is still on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Go back and watch it. It was absolutely brilliant. There's some great content in there. Some examples of low light autofocusing with the A7S Mark III, some examples of different technology, the AF tracking, you know, for people and animals. And then also, as you mentioned, we have the video there that Glyn just kindly did for us, and the content created regarding the A1, which is just fantastic. So there is some great content on our social media channels already regarding Sony, and we're in the process of making more great content here, Mark, as we're live.
No, absolutely. And so when you get all those cameras together, the one thing they have in common is the lens mount, and that's what we're talking about today. Is how many lenses have we got? We won't have enough time in an hour to cover absolutely everything, but hopefully by watching this is giving you an idea of a little bit more information. There's not much tech detail in this because, again, we could go into real detail. So this almost gives you an opportunity to go back to the Birmingham Cameras website and look at more detail of the spec and so on, and hopefully you'll find what you're looking for. But the E-mount system is the lens mount, and it's one system, so there's no need for an adapter. You don't need an adapter to use the APS-C on a full frame body, and vice versa. So the full frame lenses fit on an APS-C and an APS-C on the full frame. And of course, if you put an APS-C on a full frame camera, it'll automatically crop. And one of the features we covered in the last video was the crop mode. So even if you have a full frame camera, lens on a full frame body like the A7R, putting it into crop mode, you increase the focal length and you drop the resolution. So for an A7R4, for example, you go from 60 to around 2021. So it's or 28, I think it is. It's incredible. So you get, you know, amazing coverage, and you can use these lenses in a different way. So it's a real key feature to say no adapter needed. We'll come on in a minute to how many lenses we've got, because there's a huge amount in such a short space of time. But let's give you a little bit of information about the E-mount system. There is a correction in here because one. Yes, Brian.
Before you go on, Mark, just onto the lenses, just to remind people, with Sony Week, even though this webinar is regarding lenses, there is offers on pretty much every camera that's on the screen there at the moment. Just before that screen goes on, if anybody is interested in upgrading their body, maybe changing over to Sony or just adding to their kit, whether you're looking for anything from the A1 down to the A6100 there, all the way through the range, there is offers on everything. There's cashback, there's instant discount, there's free accessories, there's a lot going on. So, and all of the details on our website. So if anybody wants to see if we can make them an offer that they can't refuse, please check it out there and come to us. We'd be happy to help you.
You've done that now, and everyone's left the webinar. They're all on the phones. No, but what I was going to say, when I play the next footage, actually, when I made this, there was 58 native lenses. And I only made this video back in, I think, September, October last year. So I won't give too much away. But when we come back out, we'll tell you how many lenses we've got now. So let's just find out a little bit more about the E-mount system, and then we'll come back and look at the range. So let's have a look at the system itself. The E-mount system is a good starting point to find out more about Sony lenses. So the E-mount system is for Sony, and that's for the APS-C, the full frame, and the cinema line bodies as well. So for example, if you've got a full frame lens, you can use it on APS-C, and if you've got an APS-C lens, you can use it on a full frame body. And if you do that, you need to times the crop factor by 1.5 times to get the 35mm equivalent. But it's such a great system. There's 58 native lenses, including accessories. You can choose from wide angle to telephoto. And it's for, amateurs, professionals, and enthusiasts like myself. So it's not just set for one type of photography genre, it's for everybody. And whether that's a small compact system to a more larger professional system, then as you can see from this video, all the lenses fit. And I think that's just a really strong point, that you don't need any adapters or anything like that to bring the handshake or the technology to life. So as I said, there's 58 native lenses in the range. We'll have a little bit more closer look at the lenses in more detail in a second, but just to let you know, that's one mount strategy for the whole system. So as I said, that was 58 last year, and now, actually, I think you're going to correct me in a minute, aren't you? Because we were looking at this earlier. There's 64 native lenses, and on my slide here it says 63. So, but it's made up of 44 full-frame lenses and 20 APS-C lenses.
That's it. When you showed me that, we're just going through the running order, I did see it. I was like, Marcus, there's not an extra lens in there that you haven't had a chance at in yet, but obviously you're so busy preparing content for us, out with Glyn, putting this together. Like at the end of the day, we can tell people that they listen to us, and we know they're not going to have time to count up every one of the lenses on there anyway, so they know that your word is good, Mark. So, but there is actually an extra lens. It's the 14mm lens, the 1.8, the new G Master, which we'll touch later on. This is what's added on there. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you're watching this on a phone or a tablet and so on, you might not see everything here. But just to give you an example, and if you're watching it on a big screen, great. But, you know, back in 2013, you can see here, these are just a snapshot of the full frame lenses that we've got. We'll come into more detail and everything in a second. But you're looking at, you know, we brought a kit lens out right up to recently, the trio of lenses, and also to add to that now is the 14mm as well. But you can see here, if you haven't before, we cover pretty much a lot of bases, and in such a short space of time to have a system now. So if you're thinking of, you know, moving to Sony, or you're a Sony user, you're still not aware of, you know, the full range, then you've got a huge amount to choose from. And again, like I said earlier, there's no adapter needed, so the mount will make the handshake straight away, and you get the best Sony technology that's available through our lens range. But again, we'll go into more detail in a second, but we're going from wide angle, we're going primes, we're going telephoto, and we're going super telephoto as well. So let's just bring up the next load of information. What I'm going to do now is just, Brian, did you want to say something?
Just going to say, Mark, I'm going to say something you're probably not allowed to say just when you're talking about the technology. There obviously are independent brands that make lenses for Sony, and there are adapters that can adapt other mounts onto Sony. But the reality of it is, at this stage, the technology and the lens range that's there in Sony, in the E-mount, is just fantastic. And you know, when you go through the G Master, the G lens, as we're going to go through technology and show people, really the way to get the most out of your Sony camera now is by going for one of the native lenses. You zoom, fix whatever focal length that you require. There's something there for you now, and to get the most and the best out of the camera, pairing it up with a native Sony lens is the best way forward now.
I totally agree, but it's a really good point, and I think that just shows the length and breadth of the range, because yes, you're right, you've got 64 native Sony lenses, but there are third-party manufacturers you know, that you can go and research yourself, and one of those manufacturers we work with in collaboration with some of our lenses, and that's Zeiss. So you've got their versions of ours as well. So if you're thinking, oh, Sony probably don't do many lenses, to be honest, you know, they're a company that obviously do other things like TVs and sound and motion pictures and PlayStations, you know, and so on. But I think what's the advantage of that is we combine the talent and the technology that we have in our business, and we've created in such a short space of time this alpha system that now is an ecosystem that people can rely on and come over and know that there's a huge amount of lenses to choose from, hopefully within the Sony range, but also through other third parties. And yes, you're right, you know, if you're a DSLR user and you're looking to move over, say from Canon, Nikon, for example, you know, the adapters that are there for Canon users are huge, and you don't get everything that you would do from a native system. And we understand that obviously you could be bringing a lot of glass over that you may not want to sell or you're happy with. Then there are those options as well to use adapters. But again, like you said, you don't get the full functionality. And again, a little caveat on that, you know, you'd have to be model specific as well. For example, if you use an adapter, third-party adapter, on an A1, for example, the frame rate will drop from 30 to 20. That's still very good, But if you're spending that kind of money, you want the best technology that's available to you, at your fingertips. If you're especially spending £6,000 on something like that, so just be rest assured that you'd have to do a bit of research to find out what lenses do what. But with the native system, no adapters, you get what you're paying for through Sony technology. And we'll come on to technology in a second as well. But there are a variety. There's 64 native lenses. We're not going to go through all of them, but there's 4 different styles actually, and we'll lead up to what is our premium range, the G Master. But to start off, we have an entry-level Sony system, and like Birmingham cameras, you can pick the entry-level cameras up. All these cameras, lenses that we're showing you are available from Birmingham cameras. But I've got here an f 1.8 50mm entry-level lens. I think you can get this for €200, something like that, from Birmingham. And
your exchange rate is spot on there, Mark. Fair play to you.
Was it? Was it? There we go. Brilliant.
There you go.
As if that was scripted. But look, this is hopefully from here you'll see this is a 50mm 1.8. It's a more entry-level plastic body. It does have a metal mount, which I'm always very particular with. Camera technology that has a metal mount rather than older plastic models, so you get a really good fit and feel with the camera. I know there's a lot of photographers out there that use this actually, professional photographers in the studio, and I'm quite surprised when they say they're using it, because I'm expecting, like probably a lot of people, they're spending £2,000 on lens and paying that back over time through work. But there's a lot of people who use this and get the most out of it. So for around €200 you could have this really bright, fast lens. But in comparison to the more expensive lenses, obviously there's a bit difference in picture quality. Our kit lens, for example. Oh, I'll just mute you there, Brian. I'll just mute Brian.
Right. Apologies for that.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries.
The live TV.
So it's a great starting point, and our kit lenses as well, very similar. The 2870 and so on is very similar build quality. But then as we've moved through the system, so this is Sony standard. We'll come on to Sony G standard in a second, but this is the 35 1.8, so very small indeed. We have a variety of these in the range, but you can see now that the build quality has changed. We've got a metal body, and also now we're starting to add features like an AF and a manual focus button, and also something called focus hold. Now these focus hold buttons you can customize on your Sony Alpha camera to things like crop mode, or use it like back button focus for those of you who've used that feature in the past. So you can actually use the focus hold button on the side and keep your trigger finger kind of free. So but I think there's like 25 different things you can 25 different pages of menus we won't go through now, but you can set up the focus hold to however you want to shoot. So let's go back to our slide that we just had with Brian and myself on. So you can see here, so some other entry-level standard Sony lenses. The 85 1.8, we'll show that again in a second comparison. The 24 to 240, 28 mils, great for Astro as well. So similar build quality, similar kind of style. So you get really good center sharpness and maybe a bit of fringe on the outsides. But, I'm only just comparing that to the next level that we're going to cover in a second, which is the Sony G standard. Now this is where we start to get more interesting in the form of resolution. We start to use things like linear motors to give you silent autofocus capabilities, but really important when you're using these lenses for video, because the last thing you want is to hear the motor, or an older type motor moving in and out, and you can hear the servo moving in your footage. By using lenses with linear motors like the G and the G Master, for example, then you're going to get completely silent operation, which is key. And again, Sony technology that you find within the lenses is going to give you that ability to have that completely quiet. Now I've got an example of a G lens here. So this is actually an APS-C lens. We'll come on to more detail in a second. So just bring myself up again. So now all of a sudden you're seeing even more better build quality. You've got more functionality as well. Some of these lenses also have aperture rings, and we'll show you a bit later on that. And you get lenses that are also sealed. Now they're not weather sealed, they're weather resistant. So depending on what bodies you're combining these with as well, you get the kind of handshake where you get the two kind of pieces of technology together. So you're getting additional robustness as well. But what you're finding now with this is the center to corner sharpness is much superior over the standard. The feel in the hand, better build quality. Again, we're using these type of motors. You've got aspherical and extreme aspherical lenses that you find that's going to improve, reduce distortion, and also improve resolution as well. So again, Sony technology, it's giving you that ultimate, overall performance. And again, this happens so fast as well, because when you press the trigger on the camera, or the shutter on the trigger on the camera, all this technology combines instantly to give you things like eye autofocus and tracking, which again we'll cover in a second. And then the third out of the fourth lens range is Zeiss. So we have a variety of Zeiss lenses, and I've got the 35 millimeter f1.4 here. It's probably one of the most favorite lenses I use alongside the 90mm macro, actually, which is a Sony standard lens. This is a f 1.4, and now all of a sudden you're seeing completely a different design, a very premium metal body. You've then got, I don't know if you can hear it on here, the lens ring, aperture ring, sorry, that also moves. You can use that as a click system, or you can use it as a smooth ring as well. So you can't hear it, but you'll be able to use that more creatively when you're using it for video. But this type of lenses, the Zeiss lenses, give you a very distinctive look, and it's a kind of look that I tend to try and get when I'm post-editing maybe some portraiture of family out in the out for a walk or something. The amount of light it lets in at 1.4 is incredible, and you get this kind of deep resolution, almost like a vivid color, but not too vivid that you have to then get rid of it in post. It's a real distinctive look. I can only say that I find you only get with the Zeiss lenses. And as well as that, we have different varieties of, say, a 35mm, for example. So that was a 1.4. This is a 2.8. And you can probably see here, it's a little pancake lens. It's well used, as you can see, with a little bit of scuffing on the top. But that's a good thing. You'd say something if it was pristine. But the fact is, 2.8 and a really small looking lens. So you've got all these. It's not just about the quality. It's also about the functionality and the different amount of styles that you get. Oh, wrong slide. Mm-hmm. The different amount of the different amount of styles that you get. So for example, here there's a 50mm, 1.4, the 35 we just covered. There's also some APS-C lenses as well, and also the 35 2.8. So it's not just about the quality and the style you get with it, but also the build quality and the sizes as well. So if you don't want to carry something a little bit heavier, then you've also got an option with the Zeiss lenses as well to have something a little bit smaller. Now, Brian, I don't know if you want to add anything to that before we go into G Master lenses.
No, you've covered it well there so far, and I'm sure you've answered some questions that people will maybe have had or even will have asked us in the past. So that's very helpful so far. So yeah, maybe if we go into G Master, because this would be the thing we get asked about most. So yeah, if you could please, that'd be great.
No, great. And if you do have questions, again, please ask us and we'll bring you into the webinar as well. But yes, so this now leads us on to G Master. And G Master technology is our premium range of lenses. And without giving too much away here, what I'm going to show you now just gives you a really good example of the engineering that goes into these lenses that gives you, well, center to corner sharpness. And the way that these lenses perform with the autofocus technology, you're getting incredible resolution, you're getting incredible sharpness, and you're getting incredible speed as well, again with linear motors. So let's have a quick look at this. This will give you a better understanding of G Master, and then we can have a look at some of them as well, because I've got some G Master lenses here, and you can, again, hopefully from bringing them close to the camera, you'll be able to see the difference in quality as well. And then we've got some size comparisons before we look at the technology. So let's have a quick look at this to find out more about G Master technology. Okay, so let's have a look at the technology in more detail, mainly around the G Master lenses, so why these are premium and sit at the top of the range when it comes to quality. So this is a cutaway here, as you can see in the screen, of I think it's a 70-200, but basically we use ED glass and super ED glass to allow the glass to, the light to enter the lens to try and hit the center to corner, and the aspherical lens is used to reduce and minimize any ghosting at the same time. Now, this clip here is showing an MTF chart, which is showing how far the lens quality degrades at wide from center to corner. And as you can see here, from center to corner, very little detail is lost. Now, our engineers, I don't know how they do it, but it's incredible. They managed to engineer the glass to 0.01 microns. So let's think about a human hair. It's 70 microns thickness. So the glass is engineered to 0.01 microns. It's incredible. Now, the reason why we do this is it allows the light to enter the lens, and it doesn't have any aberrations or bounce off any bumps. So it goes from center to corner, gives you center to corner sharpness. And as a result of this technology, it's giving you kind of onion ring effect, zero onion ring effect in the bokeh as well. So it's giving you real crisp, clear bokeh balls. And when you use more blades in the aperture of the lens, then you can see here from 7 to 11, obviously there's more blades, but this is the result that you get. You obviously get a far deeper, shallower kind of look, and more rounded as well, so more clearer bokeh in that. Now, this diagram is showing you one of the first floating mechanisms that we had in our lenses, and it basically shows that when you, for example, use the lens technology for eye autofocus, the lenses will move forward or backwards in accordance to how far you're away from the subject matter, and this shows you the effect it has when you see it on the back of the viewfinder. Now, the contact angle as well is obviously very different. Without fluorine coating, you can get some quite messy lenses, and as you can see from this diagram here, that the with fluorine coating, the contact angle is far gives you better results. And then if you look at spilling water or any heavier liquid on it, then the lenses will repel this with this coating. So you can see quite clearly here on the left it doesn't have it, and on the right it does. And like I said, with heavier kind of liquid, the oil on the right hand side here that I'm seeing from my screen is obviously repelling the oil. You're not obviously going to be doing this deliberately, but rest assured, if you accidentally got this on your lenses, then you can wipe them off. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the technology that goes into it, and the engineers, that 0.001 microns is just, incredibly, it's very fine to get that kind of engineering. And of course, it just gives you the ability for the light to enter the lens and hit that center to corner on the sensor, which I think is obviously really, really crucial to getting a very sharp image in camera. I think, we're all trying to get the image in camera right before, with less editing, because time's against us sometimes, and not all of us have the ability to pay for somebody to do the editing and so on. So so the G Master lenses, some incredible apertures, like recently the 50mm 1.2. We've got the 135 as well, the 135, the 35mm, and also then you're looking at the 24 to 70. So I'll just bring some more information up here. There we go. We've got the 24 to 70 f2.8. We've also got the 16 to 35. So we're covering quite a lot of bases here with the kind of the key lenses that a lot of people will have in their kit. Then we've got some specialized video lenses like the 100mm 2.8. We've also then got the telephoto lenses, so 70 to 200. We've also the 100 to 400. I'll show you some of those in a second. And then we go super telephoto. And again, it's good to get these across that we do now have these in a range, because only going back a few years ago, going to trade shows and things like that, and you probably got a lot of customers that come into your store as well, Brian. Well, I'll wait for Sony to bring those lenses in. I think now, I'll take them seriously when they bring these telephoto lenses. Well, they're there. The super ones are there, and as a result of that, we've obviously seen more and more high-end pro sports photographers, agencies and so on, switching their kit to Sony gear as well, because we now have that in the range. But of course, the technology, Sony technology, a lot of people are looking to switch. So before I go to G Master, actually, I've got the 200 to 600mm lens here. So it might look big on the screen, but actually I can use this handheld quite easily. You've got a lot of functionalities down the side here, superb stabilization as well. But you've also got the ability that when I go from 200 to 600, it doesn't protrude. So the elements of glass inside and the mechanism moves that in and out without protruding the lens any further. So there's no imbalance with weight or anything like that, and there's no extension of the lens. And again, hand holding that shooting wildlife or taking shots of wildlife sports, etc. I know a lot of photographers use this, and I think it's probably a very popular lens with yourself as well. Again, the 100 to 400, if I bring that over. Again, on the side here, so again, handheld. And now this one does protrude, so obviously that extends the lens a little bit more. You've also got your focus hold buttons here, but you've got the ability to adjust the stabilization, the focus hold buttons. You've also got the auto focus, manual focus. You've also got the smooth and tight ring here, so you can have a very smooth or tight element to make sure that this doesn't fly open if you've got the lens hanging from your side, and so on. And of course, if you're shooting closer or further afield or trying to get closer up, you've got the ability to use a macro element and so on with the G Master lens. Now, looking at size and weight comparison, we talked about the 85mm G Master earlier. Now, I've got the G Master here. Now, it's a bit of a beast, this one. And we've got a demo coming up in a second which shows you the incredible bokeh quality. But with G Master, as I said, you get high resolution and you get incredibly shallow depth of field. And if you're looking for a couple of lenses that give you incredible shallow depth of field, the 85 and the 135 and the 50mm and the 35 are the ones that give you this kind of really amazing creative, just completely washes the background out. Now that's, like I said, that's a huge piece of glass in there, and then when you compare it to, say, the G standard, the entry level Sony G, an entry level standard, this isn't a G, you can see here that size and weight is very different. Now there is a slight compromise on, say, the bokeh and the resolution, but obviously the price is very different as well. So if you want the ultimate kind of speed and clarity and resolution with that incredible client-specific bokeh, then you go for something like this, the G Master. But if you then want something that's a lot more lightweight, that you can carry around, doesn't add much weight to your kit, maybe street photography as well, but with superb center sharpness, then that's also an option to choose from. And we've got a variety of lenses that you have that functionality as well, where you can go for the G Master, or you may want to go for something a little bit smaller. So there's slight compromise on image quality, but then again, that's just down to the size and weight and the engineering that's gone into it. You don't get as much with the mid-range as you do with the G Master. Okay, so let's go back to our slide again. Like I said, you've got huge amount. I think I've missed out the 12 to 24 as well. So you've got two versions, 12 to 24G and a 12 to 24 f2.8 G Master, which gives you incredible depth of field. But the ultimate wide angle lens that we have in this range. So superb for landscape, architecture, but also astrophotography as well. It lets so much light in. I know we've done some testing recently with an A7S III, 12 to 24, low light shots, astro, and the results have been incredible. So that just gives you a good idea of the full range. We'll come on to APS-C in a second, but I'm just checking if we've got any questions. We do have a question here. It's from Ragnall Glasgow. It's a bit of a rude question, actually, Brian. I don't know if we can see this here. We'll just bring it up. Why are Sony teleconverters so dear, €600 compared to Canon's equivalent for €400? I don't know if you want to say something about that.
I don't quite know where you got the figures there from, because the Canon teleconverters are €500, not €400. And if you want to buy a Sony teleconverter this week, they're €539 because they are reduced. So there you go. So I think, look, in the broader scheme of things, I could pick a lens in every manufacturer that's more expensive than the other manufacturer's version, or vice versa. There are reasons for those, but in the broader scheme of things, they do even out. I certainly wouldn't have said that was something that sticks out to me immediately anyway, Mark. I do understand that 500 versus 600 at normal times is still €100 difference, but as I say, we can go through G Master lenses and compare it to other manufacturers' equivalents, and there will always be differences, and that's just the price point of the Sony teleconverters. So
and I think, again, Yeah, it's a general question that I think we get asked quite a lot about stuff. But I think at the end of the day, the great thing is we've got all this. I could show you another slide of all the accessories we've got, including the teleconverters. And the great thing is that we've got this system now that is very well established. Maybe going back a few years ago, we wouldn't be able to answer those questions because we didn't have the kit. So it's good to see in such a short space of time we've brought that in. APS-C lenses. So the whole point of APS-C system is to give you an alternative to full frame, and technology is dramatically improved now with the 6400 and the 6600 to give you fantastic broadcasting kind of equivalent capabilities. But the lenses are smaller, and they have this crop factor calculation of 1.5 times. And having smaller lenses, we won't look at, say, the 18 to 110. That's quite a big movie kind of cine-like lens, so it's going to be obviously heavier. But when you're looking at things like, I'll just bring my camera to myself here. We've got, what have we got? We've got the 16 to 50. This is the 16 to 50 power zoom lens that you find with most as a kit lens on the 6400, 60 previous versions at 6500, and now at 6100. So this is your kit lens. It's a pancake lens, and it will extend slightly to give you kind of 16 to 70 focal length. Very lightweight as well. If I then compare that to what we got here, the 16 mil. This is a 16 mil pancake lens. So this is the equivalent of like a 24 mil lens. It's so light and so small. There's a silver one here. I'm sure they come in black as well. But again, they're so light, you don't even know that they're on, that they weigh anything. So, of course, the build quality isn't as good as, say, the G and the G Master or the Zeiss, but a superb entry-level lens that is fantastic for street photography, and because it's quite wide, you could use it for streaming and stuff like this, and landscape or portrait as well. So the fact is that we've got a lot of APS-C lenses, 20 in the range. We'll just come back to that again, and we cover a lot of bases. So a wide angle, 10 to 18, superb kind of vlogging lens you see in the top left-hand corner here that you could use with a 6600 or 6400, and then some telephoto zoom equivalents. So if you're looking at the 18 to 135, just to the right of you, Brian, you're looking at, again, a very small kind of plastic molded body that you're looking at 24 to 200 kind of equivalent in the palm of your hand, no bigger than the 85 millimeter I just showed. So cover some specialized elements as well, such as the macro lenses, and then I said earlier we have a Zeiss 16 to 70 in the range, which is an APS-C lens as well. And we just come on to the further lenses here. Very popular telephoto lenses, the 55 to 210. Again, these weigh hardly anything, but have superb capabilities of getting closer to the action without having to move forward, but they just don't weigh anything. So the APS-C lenses are that alternative, and if you've got a full frame camera and you're looking for something maybe a little more lightweight compared to what you've got, then of course if you use that in conjunction with your alpha, say full frame, or vice versa, then you can swap and change the lenses without any adapter. And when we're doing trade shows and stuff, and we get a lot of customers come online and talk to us, we've also got users that have got the NEX series from previous to the A6000 series, and of course that's the same mount as well. So if you've got existing lenses that you started buying when you first set out 10 odd years ago, then rest assured those lenses will still work on some of the kits, the bodies that we've that we've got in the range at the moment as well. Okay, we talked about autofocus, and we talked about how that kind of is really key when you're looking at combining that with our lenses. It'd be good to share with you how does the autofocus actually work, and then we've got a cracking demo of using the 35mm lens as well, showing you a little bit of eye autofocus, but also the way it tracks. And this just doesn't work on its own. The technology has to work with the lenses, and of course the more premium lenses, the more faster, the more I suppose the autofocus will stick to the subject. So this demonstrates that in a second. So let's have a look at in a more detail around the autofocus. I just see we've got a question as well. So we'll come back to that question in a second. Let's just have a little bit more information around autofocus technology with Sony Alpha lenses. So what do you get then with AF technology with Sony using Sony lenses? So just going to bring this up a second and then I'm going to pause the final image here. So it's artificial intelligent based autofocus. In this instance, we call it real-time tracking. It's found on quite a lot of our cameras now, but it takes in consideration color, pattern, distance, and also face and eye recognition. Some of our cameras also have around 693 AF points, as you can see in this diagram, and around 400 odd contrast AF. So each individual square here is an autofocus point that will react accordingly in what we just covered, whether it's color, pattern, face detection, and eye detection as well. So to show you this in action, this boxer here, the green squares are focusing on that subject because it's nearer to you, it's a moving subject, and again, remember, this is all happening as you're depressing the shutter. So you don't have to think about this, it's actually happening as you do it. So this goes into a bit more detail. Whilst you're covering that sensor, it's found the lady's head, it's found her face, and then it finds the eye, and this is happening again so fast that it just happens in the camera. And as you can imagine, the most important part of or the heartbeat of the camera is the engine room, which is the sensor and the processor. So it's taken into consideration now here in more detail. It recognizes a subject, it looks at the pattern, it looks at the distance, and then all the programmed faces that are in the memory of the camera will then allow you to focus directly here on the face as the video shows. So it combines all that technology to give you incredible AF speed. So I'm just about to show you a couple of demos how you can use one of our lenses in a variety of ways. It's a 35mm, a new G Master lens, and we're going to show you a little bit of animal autofocus, and then we had a bit of fun in the studio as well. Let's say the studio and my shed with the kids back last year. So in testing this product. So I'm just going to play this while we chat. So first of all, we set up with getting the camera on a A7R Mark IV with a 35mm G Master. I'm setting up the camera here to be set up for animal IAF. And here we go. It's as simple as that. You go from human to animal in the camera. So this is a recorder in the back of the camera at the time. And you make sure that the eye display is on. So my cat is completely unaware what's going on here, and I deliberately have left this out of focus so you can just see when I do change and depress the shutter, you see the reaction. But I'm changing, our systems are mirrorless systems. It's what you see is what you get, so you're seeing what the viewfinder is seeing on the screen. And I'm changing the shutter, changing the aperture, and then there we go. As soon as I depress the shutter, just press it there. Green box comes up, she looks up perfect, and I take the shot, and you can see the shot going along the top there. 60 million pixels as well, and shooting in RAW. Now I crop in. We talked about this earlier about cropping in on our lenses. This now shows it goes from 60 to 26 million, but now I've made this lens a 35, like a 50 mil lens, something like that. What's 35? Yeah, 35. So yeah, about 52 mil lens, something like that. So when you see it detects the eye, as soon as I depress the shutter, it takes the shot. Now in post-editing, again, just to show you, no editing on this done, just to show you how far we can push it. I think we push it to about 200%. I might have even pushed it even further. But you can just see the level of detail. You see the skylight in my the roof of my living room, and the detail is just phenomenal. Okay, so this is my son, and he is in my shed where I'm doing this broadcasting here. And you can see immediately, as soon as I take the shot, it finds his eye. It detects the face because I'm not depressing the shutter. Once I do, it takes the shot. And now this is the image in camera. So I'm going to play this back, and we're going to zoom in. Just look at the level of detail in the face anyway, the hair and the skin tone. But look, we're going to zoom right in. I don't know what percentage this is, but it's huge. And this is straight out of the camera, in the camera on the playback mode. So we did the same with my daughter, testing this lens. Control flash. So here she is sat down, and we had some great fun doing this, as you can imagine. But once again, she's seeing the monitor. It's finding the face. And as it's finding the face, I'm just changing the settings here so I go from wide to zone. It's finding the face, finding the eye, and it's just so easy to do in autofocus continuous as well. So again, I think this is the A7R Mark IV. Just a few extra shots here. You can see a live histogram readout as well on the screen. And we do the same as we did with my son, with my daughter. We zoom in, try and find an image that, as you can see, we had some great fun. Here we go. There's an image coming up. Here we go. And zooming in again. And you can just see again the level of detail in my daughter's face with her eye here. It's just pin shot. So G-Master's giving you that absolute clarity in sharpness. And again, post-editing, just to have a look at the eye again, zooming in again, I think 200%, something like that. It just shows that, again, straight out of camera, the level of detail is fantastic. And again, I highly recommend these G-Master lenses for portraiture as well as other photography needs. So yeah, we had some fun doing that, and that was the best bits. If I showed you the outtakes, they were hilarious. But the fact is, I think
some lovely models there, Mark. I have to say now, you should be very proud dad there of your kids there, and they behave themselves well, as you say. So there you go.
All the time. Yeah, right. But no, I mean, and they're growing up so quickly. But the fact is, again, little things like silent shooting. I know it's a camera technology, but silent shooting, silent motors. The kids are not, they kind of quite relaxed, so they're not worried. That they were more concerned about seeing what was on the monitor themselves rather than what I was actually doing. But the fact is, once you've set that camera up, and even when you take it straight out of the box, the lens is doing the work as well. So it's got to be able to have that sharpness and the ability to then the contacts that make from the lens and the sense of that handshake that's making that communication, they work together. And of course, the G-Master is going to give you that just quicker response, but the way it sticks as well is down to that combination of technology. So it's really important to get that across, that it isn't just about the resolution and how good it looks, it's the fact that they can work together to give you that incredible Sony technology like eye autofocus. Cool.
Just I suppose, Mark, at this stage, like, you've covered a lot. Some of the content is brilliant. It's all been great, and again, even me on here, I'm learning. You guys provide fantastic training for us. We have yourself, we have Siad, we have Sam. You all train us, but even being able to watch these videos and see the stuff in action, I'm still learning all the time, and it is great. We might kind of move on, and we have had some questions in. We've had some questions in privately, message into us. So we've also had some questions in the comments. So before we move on to those, we might just do a last call for questions there. If anybody has any more questions they want to send in, I will address them, and we might just kind of wrap up on what you've shown us there, Mark. And if there's anything else you want to add in for us.
Yeah, I think looking at the time, we're getting up to an hour now. So what I'll probably do, Brian, otherwise we'd probably be going on to an hour and a half, and I think a lot of other people have probably got other things to do as well. But the videos that we were going to show, I will send to you, and I know Dean will probably put them up on the... And that's just some cutaways of the 85 G-Master, 7200 and so on, 135mm as well, the trio of lenses, and the 100 to 400. So what we'll do is we'll put that on, I think Dean will probably put it on your YouTube or up online, and we'll do that straight after this so that people can still capture and see that. But we have got a few questions here, so I don't know if you want to go to your questions first or bring in we've got 3 questions here. So like Brian said, if you've got any last call for questions, please let us know. This is your last call for questions. Do you want to bring these up now? Should we do that?
Yeah, we'll go with the ones there, Mark, and then I say we'll go with the ones that were sent in privately then after that, if that's all right.
Okay. So this one here, this is Ragnall again. So he says, or she says, sorry if I've got that wrong. Does the A6600 and the A7 III have the same autofocus? The official answer is no, it's a completely different system. However, the algorithms and the way that the autofocus works is very similar. So the reason why I say no is the A7 III has around 700 odd autofocus points, so it has wider coverage than say the A7, the A6600, and it does respond slightly differently. However, that doesn't mean that the A6600 isn't good. It is very good, especially for fast shooting and for video as well. So you have things like eye autofocus in video. So another question that's coming up now is what camera I'm using. So I'm just about to explain that I'm using the A7R Mark IV with a 24mm wide lens and in video mode, because the eye autofocus sticks to my eye. It only disappears when I do that, or I'll move away. But as soon as I come back in, the box comes straight up, like you saw with my son and my daughter. But in video, it just sticks. It doesn't disappear. It stays there. And as a result of that, that gives me, the ability to stay in focus all the time. Of course, if I do something like this, you can see how quick that reacts. So it's not just also the way that you use the autofocus, the eye autofocus, is the way that it can kind of separate, I suppose, myself and the subject so quickly. Some cameras, our older cameras, may have just made that transition a lot slower.
Yes.
And you almost see it instantly. Whereas this, you see it and you think, well, that's a bit slow, that autofocus. With this, it's lightning fast. So what I'm trying to get to is the A6600 probably responds slightly better in video than it does on the A7 III. So I've probably confused you now. Which one do you get? I would say if you're looking for something small, lightweight, with superb video quality, go for the A6600. It has the same battery as well as the A7 III. But if you want to go for something that's probably got some additional features like dual card slots, better viewfinder, better screen, that kind of stuff, then go for the A7 III. Okay, so that's that question for that one.
You're in good company, Mark. What camera are you using? We're also using A7R4 for this, so there you go.
I just find the color reproduction on it. I could use, again, I'm very fortunate to work for Sony, and I've got the kit, and I use the kit. I don't use the kit as much as I would like to, but because we're always working to promote the kit. But the A7R Mark IV files, the video files, the quality is probably the best colors, best detail, and I'm really pleased with that.
And you get the results by using Sony lenses with them. So we also have a Sony lens, and we're using 24-70 G Master at 24. So there you go.
Exactly. Sybil has said she changed over from the Nikon system. Let's just bring her up. To Sony and never looked back. Love my cameras. A9, A7R4, A2, A7R3s. Wow. R3s. Wow. So thank you for your custom.
The next time we hear from Sybil, she'll have another addition in there now, because I'll be giving her a call after this to say, okay, Sybil, what do you want to add to the kit now? So the next time she puts a comment, there'll be another addition to the range.
Brilliant. And that's the last question. So if I've missed anybody out, apologies. Just going back through, but yourselves have just said, don't forget the Sony offers and so on. And now I think you've got some other sent in questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple here, and then I actually have just one for myself as well there, Mark. So the first one is was sent in privately here, and it's a question just regarding G Master versus Zeiss lenses. Now, we did cover it a little bit earlier, but maybe we might just expand a little bit, Mark. It basically is there are some new G Master lenses coming out that appear to be replacement for the Zeiss lenses. Can you just please explain the differences, and if it's worth changing, or if there is an advantage or disadvantage to G Master versus Zeiss?
Oh yes, a lot of questions in that. I mean, I'm not aware that they're brought in to change or replace. So the Zeiss lenses.
That's the question, obviously. But I know, like you guys have kind of gone through this with us before for training. But as I say, like maybe if you could just go through maybe a little bit more detailed differences between them.
But I'll give you my personal opinion, because if my go-to lenses are things like the 90mm macro. I use that for portraiture, actually, not as much macro, but the fact is I can use macro as well. So and I also use my kind of go-to portrait lens is the Zeiss 35 1.4, and one of the reasons why I use the Zeiss a lot is, on a bright sunny day, the amount of light that lens lets in and the ability to shoot at the lowest ISO on, say, an A7 Mark III, for example, with a fast shutter speed, and it gives you that look that you don't normally get with other lenses in the range. Then for me, it's about the speed and the resolution and that kind of real shallow depth of field, but the sharpness. And you can see it. You can see it in the viewfinder. It's incredible. It is a little bit heavier than maybe, say, some of the other lenses, but I like that build quality. I like that metal feel rather than the plastic feel in my hand. So I think as well, because when you look at the T-Star, the Zeiss T-Star, it's going to give you really high quality, and it reduces in any kind of reflections as well. So I think that's probably what's giving me that look. But the G Master, my next one is the 135, and the reason why I use that a lot, not just for the focal length, is the speed and accuracy of the autofocus.
Okay.
It's probably the fastest I've ever experienced in the range, and then we brought the 50mm 1.2 out, and that's I only tested that very very quickly. But I've got the 135 in the kit, and they're the two lenses I always take with me: is the Zeiss 35 1.4 and the G Master. You just know when you've got a G Master that the shallow depth of field comparison to the Zeiss is it's very different. The G Master just washes it out. you could have something in the background that you see with the naked eye, but when you're using the G Master at, say, fully wide open at 1.2 or 1.8 or 1.4, it's gone. And I think, and you've got that ability to control it internally. So I think Zeiss gives you that real sharp, clean look. The G Master for me just gives you that incredible, almost cinematic. A lot of people say when they look at my portraits of my family and stuff, they go, "Oh, how do you get that background look so blurred?" It's like, well, it's the lens, and I think that hopefully gives you an idea that they're the biggest differences I feel between the two types. But they're just the great thing is you've got that option to choose from, rather than just sticking to a few lenses and hopefully new lenses get added to the system. You've got all this huge amount of lenses you can choose from that gives you different feels. Hopefully that answers that.
I hope it does. For whoever sent in the question there, I hope that answered there. Thank you. Next one, Mark. This is the second last question that we have. The new 14mm G Master lens that's recently come out. We have a question about that. It's how is the 14mm lens so much smaller and lighter than other manufacturers' versions of it, considering that the 14mm is f1.8 in the Sony range and the other manufacturers is f2.8. Now the other ones are made for DSLRs, so that possibly has something to do with it, Mark. But just maybe if you had any, without letting out the trade secrets, maybe of the engineers back in Tokyo, if you could maybe expand a little bit on it, if you have any answers on that.
I'd be the last person to know if that kind of stuff. But it's a good question. I think. Look, I mean, I've got a slide actually. Let's bring it up. 14mm. There it is. Hang on. There. Okay. So look at. I mean, if you can see it on the screen, there's nothing missing from this lens that wouldn't be in, say, a 50mm 1.2 or a 135. So I don't actually really have an answer or an official answer here, because it's quite remarkable that our engineers, whatever you want to call it, black box technology, whatever, it's kind of, they've, look at the engineering that goes into a G Master lens. It's almost engineered to almost, it disappears to give you that fine line between when the light enters the lens, it doesn't bounce off anything. It goes straight to the center, to the corner of the sensor, and gives you that incredible resolution. Amazing. Same as with this lens. They've made it so small that it still has spherical extreme lenses, spherical lenses. You've got nano coating. You've got, the focus rings, the focus holes. You've got all the functionality, and that, the bulbous traditional end that you'd normally find, say, a little bit bigger on the 12 to 24 and so on, is still, it's been reduced dramatically. So, the answer to your question, again, it's got two linear motors in it. So if you think a linear motor on a 135 is going to obviously be bigger than something like this, and the fact it's got two. So I think the answer to the question is, it's quite remarkable that our engineers have manufactured this to be small and give you the latest technology that we've covered today, which is speed, accuracy, resolution, no distortion or no evidence of distortion. Just tremendous what they've done here. So I think, I've waffled a bit there, but I honestly, it's incredible that if this is the future of what lenses look like, and then that's only going to be a good thing. We've mentioned the word compact quite a few times, and again, I just stress, every time we mention compact, it doesn't mean that you're going to compromise on something. So for me, this is a more compact size lens, mainly so that it doesn't feel heavy and on the body, but no compromise on quality. In fact, so I haven't tested this. You're gaining all this technology in a smaller, compact, inverted commas, smaller, compact body. So, I think that's only a good thing rather than carrying, extra weight. And I think, I don't know what the future looks like when it comes to new technology. And if I did, I obviously couldn't tell you anyway. But I think it's very clear that if this is the way that we're moving forward with lenses like this, then wow, that's going to be incredible. If that's the case. But again, you're using a lot of glass. So, our engineers must be thinking, okay, if we're going to use a lot of glass in future technology, how can we reduce the size of that in a compact body without, losing quality of the lens, which is what G Master is renowned for. And, that is paramount that we get that right every time, I would have thought. Okay. So, yeah.
Just going to move on there, Mark. Last one is from myself. You might even say it's a half an observation, then half a question. With some of the new additions to the G Master range in particular, we've noticed an increased demand in focal lengths that potentially we had said, well, that focal length isn't as popular as what it used to be, or why have they decided to bring that focal length out next? You referenced the 135mm. That would have been an example where we would have looked at that initially and be like, oh, is that focal length what is required next in the range? Because in other manufacturers that already have one, that focal length hasn't been overly popular recently. 35mm 1.4 G Master is another one. Are you finding that, you know, bringing out these lenses in the size, quality, and what they do has actually made it's kind of made the lens more popular than maybe you felt they would have been, or have they been received better than maybe what Sony envisaged, or what's the situation with that? Like, has that been the case that just all the new G Master lenses that are coming out now are being very well received? That I'm not saying focal length is irrelevant, but if they are lenses that maybe are perceived to be in a focal length that had become a bit obsolete or not very popular, that now they're coming back into fashion because the size, weight, technology that's there has made them like just able to do things that previous lenses couldn't do.
But you and I both know if we knew the answer to those questions, we probably have everything that everybody wants. What I think the key thing here is, look, 64 native lenses, right? And there must, our engineers and our teams in Tokyo and so on, they've obviously got a roadmap and again, I couldn't tell you what that is, but it's so exciting when something comes out that, it's fit for purpose. They can be very popular. The demand is, it varies on whatever comes out. But I think, again, the quality of the lenses that you get with G Master continues to, like with the 14, it's like, how do you get that? That doesn't make sense, all that technology in a small body. So I think, I don't know what the decision making's around the focal lengths, but it's always good to see that, currently, we still don't have any Mark 1s or Mark 2s of lenses. So those lenses that we created back 2013 and all fully work on the latest technology. The A1 was released recently, and again, that video is available to see on Birmingham Cameras to find out more about the high-speed sync functionality and so on. But the lens, the kit lens that we brought back in 2013, 2870, it's fit for purpose for the latest technology. So I think that's a really strong message that I would hope that any future lenses will continue that. That it doesn't stop you from using, and likewise, if you've got an older body, maybe, I don't know, an A7 Mark II, for example, then any new technology that comes out is going to, like lenses, is going to give you the best features as well. So it could enhance your shooting photographic experience by using all this latest technology. So yeah, there's a lot in that question I can't answer because I just don't know. But I would hope to say that we continue bringing out innovative new technology that just improves photographers' workflow, whether it's speed, autofocus, resolution, and all those other features that just gives you the best image you can get in camera.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. Look, there's answers in there. Yeah. So that will do. I think that brings us to the end now, Mark, as regards that's the questions that were both put in the comments. Now we had people send in to us. If they didn't know that they could make it, this will obviously be up on our Facebook channel to watch, not live, but it will be there for people to see. So thank you everybody for sending in questions. It's great that we have so many coming into us still, and that people are willing to interact with us. Send us in the questions. Hopefully we can answer them, and maybe it might lead to further conversations with them. Before we finish up, Mark, I might just maybe touch again just on the offers that are available for Sony Week, just as regards to what's there. So we've got some nice slides there up on screen. You can see there. So the main things for this week are, along with the ongoing cashback offer that's running through the summer, and some vlogger offers there with the Sony ZV-1 and A7C, and also instant discount on A7R Mark III and A7R Mark IV. We have 10% off Sony lenses over the value of €500. So any lens that's normally priced over €500 will have 10% off it. That's applied online or in the store, either way. Also, with the A7 Mark III and with the A6600, there's a free battery. The battery normally retails for €100, so that is included as well. And on top of those offers, there is up to €400 cashback. There's lots and lots of cameras and lenses on the cashback offer. The amounts vary depending on the model that you're interested in. They are valid on purchases up until the end of July. So if anybody has any interest in anything at all, please do contact us, and we'd be happy to help you and guide you on that. Going on from that, then, on all Sony products, there is an extended 1-year warranty when you register your product with Sony, so it's free of charge. All it requires you is to register your details to get the 1-year warranty that is extra activated. And then there's also the lens, the one mount lens offer, which is anybody who buys a Sony camera and then wants to add a lens to it, you can receive €100 off your next lens purchase. That is redeemable as a cashback from Sony, and it does run with all of the other offers. So if you're interested in certain lenses at the moment, Mark, we have 10% off, we have cashback, and then we have €100 extra cashback as well. So there's some fantastic offers
good
there.
Time
there's
to
never
buy.
been a better time. Yeah, no, there really hasn't.
Yeah.
And you'll get a friendly service with a smile if you want to come into the store, or you'll get free delivery if you can't get into us. So I don't really know what more you could ask for.
No, it's great offers, great time to buy this week, and there's the link again that the guys put on earlier. And just
thank you.
Get rid of that one a second, and then just to finish on this, we showed you this yesterday in the teaser. So we've got another webinar that we did, as we said, a few weeks ago with Brian. We've also got the website here. So go to Birmingham Cameras website. You'll find out more about all the latest offers. And if you haven't seen, let's get this right again. Where is it? It's there. It's well, you can see it. It's there. It's there. Okay. Glyn Dewis and his A1 video as well that we put together. So yes, please have a look at the social sites of Birmingham Cameras, and there's lots of things you can find out more about Sony. But thanks again for the opportunity, Brian. It's great to be on your Facebook page and talking to your customers. Like I said, if there's any specific questions that people want to ask off air directly through you, then please pass them on to me. I'd be more than happy to pick that up.
Well, of course, thank you, and thank you, Mark. We're delighted. I think conditions have been a bit easier for you today than the last time you're at your shed. Did get quite warm the last time?
It was really hot.
We have a beautiful day here today. I actually had to come down to the office. I was afraid the sun shining in through our shop front might put more of a glare on my head than is already there. So. Well,
thanks again.
The lighting has worked wonders down here. So, look, Mark, thank you very much. I hope everybody who's watching found something in this. It was absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, we couldn't get all of the content that Mark had ready for us within the time frame, but it will be going up on our social media over the next day or so. So you will see even more content regarding Sony lenses and Sony technology going up there. As Mark said, if you have any questions that you want answered by him, you can feel free to send them to us and we'll get him to answer them, or maybe put you in touch if needs be. So I think all that's left to say is thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have another one of these going soon. Again, any feedback you have, anything you want covered, please send it in to us and we'll try our best to do it for you and keep you happy. So thank you, Mark.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks, Brian, and the team. Cheers.
Thank you.